Hello, my name is Dr. David Naylor. I'm a chiropractor and acupuncturist with a special expertise in diabetes prevention and prediabetes reversal. Today I'm going to shock you with information that could potentially save lives. So let's start with a simple question. Did you know that almost 1 out of 3 people in America are either diabetic or prediabetic? According to the CDC, 80 million Americans are prediabetic and 28 million are diabetic. This disease does not generate fear because it can simmer for years, damaging the heart, kidney, eyes, and other organs that often only surfaces in middle age and accepted by many doctors as a simple part of the aging process. People are usually a diabetic for years before being actually diagnosed. There should be an outcry, as it is estimated that in the next 24 hours, 5,200 people will be diagnosed with diabetes. Over 800 will die from it, and almost 300 will go blind or have an amputation. There are more complications, including heart disease, high blood pressure, nervous system damage, liver disease, and Alzheimer's. Why is there an epidemic of type 2 diabetes? While there's a genetic component to diabetes, people have full control as to whether they get it or not by the choices they make in their diet and exercise. The core problem has to do with people's eating habits and its consequences that include excessive weight, and especially abdominal fat, lack of nutrients as people eat junk and processed foods, and lack of exercise. You can see how our food habits have changed over time with just sugar and grain consumption, almost a 40-fold increase with sugar alone. Wondering where all the sugar's coming from? Here's a clue. Just look at the typical foods people eat, and you will see they all have high carbohydrate content, which can be as unhealthy as refined sugar if overeaten. Bad food habits induce stresses to the human body that promote all kinds of diseases. Junk food will increase consumption of refined sugar, sodium, and saturated fat, while reducing consumption of vegetable fibers, key minerals, omega-3 fats, vitamins, antioxidants, and beneficial probiotic bacteria. The other side of the coin is the increase in portion size and calorie intake since the 70s. Portion sizes were about half what they are today. How has our eating habits affected us? Look at our weight 20 years ago. No state had a high obesity rate, and most were less than 10%. Today, no state has an obesity rate less than below 10%, and most are over 25%. In addition, our healthcare system is not promoting prevention. We are waiting for disease conditions to set in, and then we manage the disease. That is why experts are predicting America will go bankrupt with healthcare costs. We are already seeing the effect of a disease care system on companies and individuals. The status quo is not sustainable, especially when the CDC is predicting that if nothing changes, out of all infants born today, 1 out of 2 will become diabetic as adults in the future. The bad news? No silver bullet to solve this problem. The good news is diabetes is preventable. Let's analyze the progression of diabetes. As we said, for most people, it starts with bad eating habits that result in excess weight and nutritional deficiencies. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance, where people start noticing high levels of blood glucose resulting from defects in insulin production and receptor sensitivity that causes sugar to build up in the body. In conjunction with these changes, people start noticing elevated lipid levels such as triglycerides and LDL cholesterol. However, years before people were diagnosed with diabetes, they're in a pre-diabetic zone. But what is crazy with our healthcare system is that the typical physician will monitor elevated blood sugar levels and wait for people to become a diabetic and then begin giving them medication. What is not explained is that for about 90% of people who do go on to conventional care and diabetic medication, the complications are not prevented. So what is conventional care for diabetes and prediabetes? Some will be prescribed high blood pressure medications and or statin drugs. Once diabetic, people are put on certain diabetic medications and recommended an eating plan that is useless and in fact can even be dangerous for people with diabetes. These steps do not get the condition under control. Under 12% of diabetics being treated with medication have their blood pressure, blood sugars, and cholesterol under control. The simplest way to beat this disease is to prevent it. This was proven in a landmark study in 2001 that showed prediabetes can be prevented from becoming diabetes with weight management, correct eating habits, and regular exercise. The easiest way to determine if you are prediabetic is to answer a questionnaire available with this presentation that will highlight probability of prediabetes. So how can prediabetes reversal be accomplished? First, we need to get rid of abdominal fat as it drives metabolic syndrome. People will then see immediate changes as damaging inflammatory chemicals released by fat cells are reduced. People also need to have healthy food habits, optimally eating 3 times a day, eating fruits, vegetables, and fiber in combination with protein, which gives the body crucial amino acids needed to build muscle mass instead of fat, and minimize eating junk food, which is void of nutrients. The nutritional deficiencies are important because people who are prediabetic are deficient in zinc, chromium, magnesium, and are low in essential fatty acids. Exercise is always recommended, even if it's just walking for 20 minutes. To make all of this possible, a structured system needs to be used. My system works like this. I have people eat according to a meal plan that puts their body into a biochemical state to burn excess fat, especially abdominal fat, while not having any hunger. In between meals, a nutritional snack is taken to prevent any cravings, as people will be on an elimination diet. There will be one program for men and a different one for women. 7 different meal plans are provided so that there are 7 suggested breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, and that way people do not get bored with what they eat. If the suggestion of 60 grams of beef or the 35 grams of spinach for dinner is not to your fancy, you'll have a simple way of substituting the protein or carb as shown. We see that here. A 4-page symptoms questionnaire is completed before this eating plan is started, and the same questionnaire is completed at the end of 3 weeks. Here are the 14 health conditions we will evaluate. The results of this questionnaire may show 4 severes, 6 moderates, and 4 mild conditions. However, the challenge is to know the root cause of the symptoms, as they could be due to bad food habits, excessive weight, nutritional deficiencies, or a chronic condition. But as you go into an elimination diet and lose excess fat, the changes in the responses to the same questionnaire 3 weeks later can give great insight as to the root cause of your symptoms. The new results may change to 1 severe, 2 moderates, and 4 mild. To a trained specialist, this provides a wonderful insight into the root cause of your symptoms and a roadmap on steps needed to prevent diabetes and promote wellness. All of this information will be provided and explained at the end of 3 weeks, where an action plan is provided to cover abdominal fat status and how much more weight needs to be lost, blood sugar support needs if unhealthy eating habits are resumed, existence of potential food sensitivities and allergies that may need addressing, possibility of chronic conditions needing attention, correcting nutritional deficiencies to prevent chronic conditions from developing, and a host of other wellness markers that will be explained at the meeting. If these wellness markers are ignored, over time they will become disease conditions. A great example of this is diabetes that is costing America $174 billion a year because people are waiting to become a diabetic instead of preventing it. So don't be the last one to jump into the prevention bandwagon. The greatest gift of health you can give yourself to determine if you are pre-diabetic, and if so, take the required steps needed to reverse this dangerous condition before it's too late, and in the process experience weight loss, increased energy, better sleep, and overall wellness. Well, thank you for listening. To learn more about diabetes prevention, give us a call at 336-229-4226, and you can learn more information about our clinic and this process at www.thediabeticlinic.com. thenaylorclinic.com. Goodbye and take care.